Have you ever heard of the Skinwalkers? There's a chill that comes with the name, a shudder that ripples through the spine. It's not just a word, but a legend, a tale of terror rooted deep in the soil of Native American folklore. The Skinwalkers, they say, are not mere beasts, but entities that blur the line between man and beast. They can shapeshift, morphing into any animal they choose, but unlike ordinary animals, their eyes glow with an unnatural, eerie light, and their presence brings with it an unsettling sense of dread. Imagine for a moment coming face to face with a beast that was once a man, a creature whose very existence contradicts the laws of nature, a being that can wear the skin of any creature it desires. That's the fear that the Skinwalkers instill, an uncanny terror that gnaws at your sanity, making you question the very fabric of reality. But let's shift our focus from these spectral creatures to a different part of our tale. Enter Jacob, a young lad of just 10 winters. Jacob was a curious soul, an adventurous spirit whose heart brimmed with courage. He was the kind of boy who'd venture into the thickest woods, explore the darkest caves, and return home with stories that made the adults roll their eyes and the other children gasp in awe. Fear, it seemed, was a concept largely alien to him. But then, fear isn't always a product of the imagination. Sometimes it's born out of the cold, harsh brush with the inexplicable, the supernatural. And while Jacob might not have known fear, he was no stranger to curiosity. A curiosity that one day led him to a path less traveled, to a tale whispered only in hushed tones, to the legend of the Skinwalkers. Jacob, however, was about to discover just how terrifying these creatures could be. He was on the precipice of a chilling encounter, an encounter that would change his life and ultimately seal his fate. But that, dear listener, is a story for another scene. It was a night like any other when Jacob first encountered the Skinwalker. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the landscape. The stillness of the night was punctuated by the faint rustling of leaves that seemed to whisper secrets to those who dared to listen. Jacob, a curious boy with an adventurous spirit, was wandering in the woods near his home. His attention was drawn to a small animal in the distance. At first, he thought it was just a fox, its eyes glinting in the moonlight. But as he observed further, something about it seemed off. The animal's movements were awkward, almost human-like. Its eyes held an intelligence that was unsettling. The air around it seemed to ripple, as if reality itself was warping. A chill ran down Jacob's spine. His heart pounded in his chest like a drum, echoing his growing fear. As he stared, frozen in place, the creature turned to face him. Its eyes bore into his, a predatory gaze that seemed to see right through him. It was then that Jacob realized this was no ordinary animal. This was a Skinwalker, a creature of legend, said to have the power to shapeshift into any animal it desired. Jacob's blood ran cold. His mind screamed at him to run, but his legs refused to obey. The Skinwalker let out a guttural growl, a sound that seemed to resonate within Jacob's very soul. In that moment, survival instincts kicked in. Jacob turned on his heels and ran, his heart pounding in his ears. The Skinwalker gave chase, its growls echoing in the stillness of the night, a haunting reminder of the terror that pursued him. Through sheer will and adrenaline, Jacob managed to evade the creature, escaping back to the safety of his home. He was safe, for now. He had survived his first encounter with the Skinwalker, but the ordeal had left him shaken to his core. Jacob narrowly escaped, but his encounters with the Skinwalker were far from over. His life was about to take a turn for the horrific, a journey into the unknown that would forever change him. Despite his fear, Jacob couldn't shake his fascination with the Skinwalker. His heart pounded in his chest, a rhythmic drum of dread and curiosity that echoed through the sleepless nights. He found himself slipping into a world of ancient folklore, diving headfirst into the abyss of the unknown. Skinwalkers, he learned, were not merely creatures of nightmare, but entities wrapped in the cloth of Native American legend. Jacob spent countless hours hunched over his laptop, poring over ancient texts and whispered stories that painted harrowing pictures of these shape-shifting predators. They could take on the form of any creature they desired, their eyes burning with an unnatural glow. He became obsessed, his every waking moment consumed by the creature that haunted his dreams. But as Jacob's fascination grew, so too did his fear. He could feel the Skinwalker's presence creeping closer, its malevolent energy casting a chilling shadow over his life. It was as if the creature was feeding off his terror, growing stronger with each passing day. He tried to keep his fear hidden, to bury his dread beneath a facade of normalcy. But the Skinwalker was relentless, its pursuit unending. It stalked him, a phantom in the night, its ghastly presence felt in every creaking floorboard, every flickering light. The days blurred together, and the nights became an endless cycle of terror. Jacob couldn't escape the feeling of eyes on him, watching, waiting. The creature was playing with him, toying with its prey before the inevitable strike. And then, there was the laughter, a low, guttural sound that echoed in the darkness. It was a chilling reminder of the creature's intelligence, its capacity for cruelty. It was a sound that would haunt Jacob, a sound that promised an ending far from merciful. The Skinwalker was closing in, and Jacob was running out of places to hide. The creature was relentless, its pursuit unyielding. Jacob knew he was running out of time, and the Skinwalker was closing in. The end was near, and the Skinwalker was ready to claim its prey. Jacob knew he couldn't keep running forever. His breath was ragged, his heart pounded like a war drum in his chest, yet he was resolved. He knew he had to face the Skinwalker. He had to confront this nightmarish creature that had been relentlessly pursuing him. Jacob was just a boy, but he was a boy with a plan. He decided that if he was to meet his end, he'd meet it head-on. He wouldn't cower, he wouldn't hide. He'd stand and fight, even if it was the last thing he did. With a grim determination, Jacob began to hatch his plan. He would use every bit of knowledge he had, every piece of folklore he'd heard, and every ounce of courage he possessed. He knew his chances were slim, but he also knew that he couldn't let fear dictate his actions. He was going to confront the Skinwalker, and so he did. With a shaky breath and a steely gaze, Jacob faced the creature. The Skinwalker, an abomination that defied all logic, all understanding, stood before him. It was more terrifying than he had ever imagined, more powerful than he had ever anticipated. But Jacob stood his ground. He tried to fight, tried to defend himself, tried to do everything he could to survive. But it was all in vain. The Skinwalker was too powerful, too monstrous. It toyed with him, playing with its prey before it struck the final blow. As Jacob fell, his body broken and his spirit crushed, he couldn't help but feel a sense of despair. He had tried so hard, fought so bravely, but it was all for naught. The Skinwalker had won. It always won. In his final moments, Jacob realized the full horror of the Skinwalker. He understood now, too late, that some creatures were not meant to be confronted. Some horrors were not meant to be understood. Some nightmares were not meant to be survived. In his final moments, Jacob realized the full horror of the Skinwalker. Jacob's story serves as a chilling reminder of the terror Skinwalkers can instill. Jacob's journey, fraught with fear and uncertainty, ended in a way none of us could have anticipated. Jacob's tragic end came swiftly in the dead of night, under the watchful gaze of the relentless Skinwalker. As the moon bathed the landscape in an ethereal glow, the Skinwalker claimed its final victory. Jacob, who had fought with every ounce of his being, was no more. His life was brutally extinguished, a testament to the insurmountable power of the Skinwalker. In the aftermath of Jacob's encounter, shockwaves of disbelief and sorrow rippled through the community. Friends, family, those who knew him well, and even those who knew him in passing, were left reeling. The jovial, lively boy they knew was replaced with a chilling tale of horror. Jacob's story served as a stark reminder of the existence of the Skinwalkers, a fear that had perhaps faded into the background of community folklore. His story breathed life into the dread of these creatures, a dread that had been dormant, but never truly gone. The impact of Jacob's story was far-reaching. It was not just a tale of one boy's encounter with a Skinwalker, but a narrative that seeped into the very fabric of the community. A narrative that left a mark on every hearth and home, making people question the safety of their surroundings. As the memory of Jacob's laughter faded into the echoes of the past, his story lived on. The tale of his encounter with the Skinwalker became a part of the community's shared narrative, a chilling reminder of the horrors that could lurk just beyond the safety of their homes. And so, Jacob's tale ends, leaving us with a chilling question: are we ever truly safe from the horrors that lurk in the shadows?